All right, hello everybody. This is Mr. Ling. Ooh, my hair's pretty flippy today. All right, so we're gonna jump right into this. This is a stat challenge I gave you in class, and then we didn't have nearly enough time to go over. So, doing this video in hopes that you can try it out on your own and then see the explanation of why the correct answer is correct. So I'll do my best to actually get the right answers on this one. All right, so let's jump in. Our first column here are the classical lists. And so my goal here is to just kind of show the tension and the differences between these as well as the similarities. So in this column, or row, I should say, we're looking at what happens in a recession. What does each of these serious groups believes actually happens? So let's jump into the classical list first. So during a recession, prices are A, sticky, B, very flexible, or C, somewhat flexible. Well, the answer for this one is B. We know that the classicalists believe that our prices are really, really flexible in the time of a recession. In fact, they believe recessions don't happen at all because price level and resource prices are falling at the same rate, right? In other words, they think that the economy will self-correct almost immediately. So prices are very flexible during a recession. Okay, that's what kind of creates that self-correction is the flexibility of prices. All right, what about Keynesians? Keynesians actually believe in A. They're the sticky price people. John Maynard Keynes believed that prices were fixed actually in the short run, right? When aggregate demand shifted left to actually decrease GDP, prices didn't change at all because business were afraid of lowering the prices that would impact their profits. They didn't see the macro model. They're just looking at their own store and saying, hey, I want to make as much profit as possible. If fewer people are buying my goods, I want to make sure the ones I do sell are for top price. So as a result, you get that kind of persistent recession, according to the Keynesians. So they believe in fixed prices. That's why they have that horizontal aggregate supply curve. All right, monetarists. Monetarists believe that the economy will self-correct, but quickly, right? So they are C's. They don't think it's very flexible. They think it's somewhat flexible. There's going to be some lag time, right? Prices are going to fall initially for goods that are being sold, but it takes a little bit longer for wages to adjust, right? It takes a while for businesses to recognize that we're in a recession. And then once they do, it takes a while for them to get wages to adjust, right? So oftentimes they'll lay people off first, and then they'll hire them back at a lower wage, for example. So that's the monetarist approach. They are C. The Rets, as you'll find, are closely resembling the classicalists. The Rets are a B. They believe that if the government just got out of the way, the economy would self-correct very, very quickly, right? They believe that these prices are super flexible because people are rational. They look at the economy and say, hey, I want to offset the negative effects of this on myself. And so businesses lower wages so they don't have to reduce production, and individuals are willing to accept those lower wages because they know prices are going down at the same time. So because we're all rational, we're all informed, we should self-correct. The problem is the government gets in the way. All right, moving on. How about lag time? So how long does it take for the economy to self-correct? You'll see that this is directly related to the stickiness of prices or the flexibility of prices. So we got three options: A, very short, B, somewhat short, or C, long. Classicalists fall into the very short category, right? This is going to take a very limited amount of time because prices are so flexible because of B up here. Keynesians believe that it's going to be long. In fact, John Maynard Keynes had that famous quote that on a long enough timeline, in the long run, we're all dead, right? And so you're going to be waiting until you die, basically, in order for our economy to self-correct. He believes in that persistent economy. The reason is because of those sticky prices we talked about earlier. All right, next up are our monetarists. What do the monetarists believe? They believe that it's going to be B, somewhat short, right? I'm sorry. Keynesian should have been C. I told you I was going to try to get these right. C. I was talking about it being very long. I just put the wrong letter. So it's C. All right, anyways, monetarists are B. They believe it's going to be somewhat short. Again, that lag time because we have somewhat flexibility in our prices there. And then finally, the lag time for the Rets, again, just like the classicalists, they believe it's very, very quick, a very short self-correction time because of the very flexible prices when the government doesn't get involved. All right, now it's telling me to draw a graph. I'm only going to draw a portion of the graph because I have to draw with my mouse and I have a very small box. So just bear with me here. For the classicalists, it's all about the vertical aggregate supply, right? Vertical aggregate supply and then aggregate demand. Vertical aggregate supply says when aggregate demand shifts, like if it's shifting left here, price level is going to change, but GDP is always going to be at full employment all the time. Okay, over here for our Keynesians, he believes in the horizontal aggregate supply, which says when aggregate demand shifts left like it is here from AD1 to AD2, we're going to have a dramatic change in GDP, but we're going to have no change in prices. Okay. The third one, clear those out. The third one, what are these? These are our monetarists. The monetarists actually don't use a graph to explain the rationale. They're all about an equation, right? They believe in MV equals PQ. We call this the equation of exchange. In other words, when the Federal Reserve changes the supply of money, velocity stays relatively stagnant. They're changing nominal GDP, not real GDP, but nominal. So they're creating these artificial bubbles in our economy where it looks like industries are doing well, but in fact, they're artificially propped up by easy money. So that's the MV equals PQ. And our final one are the RETs. The RETs have your normal self-correction, right? Where aggregate demand shifts to left, and then aggregate supply shifts right to self-correct, and they believe it'll happen very quickly. I realize now that just looks like a pile of scribbles, but check out your chart that I gave you on Canvas, and you should be good to go. All right, next up, it says, what is the recommendation for maintaining stable and growing economy? According to classicalists, just keep the government out. Right? As long as the government isn't intervening, the economy will self-correct. The Keynesians believe in discretionary deficit spending. In other words, the government should pour a bunch of money into the economy because otherwise we'll stay in that recession forever. And then finally, we've got our monetarists. They believe in the monetary rule. The monetary rule is you should change the supply of money by the same amount as the change in GDP. In other words, if GDP changes by 2%, you should change the supply of money by 2%. What this does is this handcuffs the Federal Reserve so that they can't create those bubbles anymore through just creating easy money. So that's the monetary rule. And then the RETs, rational expectation theorists, again, keep the government out. It's the government getting in the way, so deregulate in time of recession, and that will promote a stable economy. All right, so that's the first half of this. I'm going to end this video here. If you want to watch the graphs, you can watch the next video, but this was just for the chart here. All right, hope that helped you. Enjoy and good luck.